Hello everyone, I'm FIDE Master Escuela Chernikov, and here we continue with Night and Games. Another part 2 of Botvinnik rule, as we know, first one from the previous video. So if you didn't see it, try to check in my channel, you'll find it easily. It's previous video in the channel. And here is part 2, it's new rule, but also Botvinnik. He said also in these positions, except of the Night and Games, the same as pawn and games, you can see it here, that's why white has advantage. Not because of the structure of pawns, but because of the activity of his king. Also, second thing, very important, you need to oblige somehow, it will be good for you to oblige somehow opponent's pawn to push. Let's say if you can force pawn to go somewhere here. Let's imagine just that pawns are not in this part of the board. Let's say they're all here. It will be just easy to come with king and take it, right? So for you it's very good to oblige them to push. Just knowing these two rules you can win this endgame even by yourself. Let's try to find how to do it. First move, it's very simple. How to do push, right? How to oblige your opponent to push. There is knight e5 and knight g5, two different options. So which one to choose? You need to always be one step further. Excuse me. So knight e5, knight g5. If he plays f5, basically it doesn't matter which move you choose, because it just already good for you that pawn is in f5. Two advantage for knight g5. One, that after f5 you can throw check. Probably it will not matter much, but like you can annoy another pawn and pressure, or do check later, like do your business and check later. And another one, that if f6 is played, if from e5 we cannot go to oblige this pawn to push, here we have knight h7. Looks very awkward move, very weird one, but it's correct. Don't be worried that your knight will be trapped. Here once again, there are just two moves. Knight g8 is just bad, because now your knight cannot be moved. Either you can need to play 5, but if you need to play 5 anyway, why to bring knight to g8, right? You allow, for example, something like this. Blocking pawn structure is very important to block weaknesses. So it just doesn't make sense to play knight g8. So let's say move is f5. Now it's very important, as I said, block, right? Block the pawns. Try to make a pause and think f4 or h4. Both moves are stopping g6 pawn. They hold it there. Choose which one you prefer and why. Okay, here the correct move will be h4. Why h4? First of all, in general, I think it's really much more common move, right? It's the first thing that comes to our mind, but still there's concrete reason, and also sometimes it's in variations. So why f4 is worst? Let's just try what happens if h4. So I will show you what black needs to play. Black is in trouble. His knight doesn't go anywhere, because once he goes away, we have simple road where we want to play with our pieces, or we can even play knight f8, forcing knight to go back and just winning the temple this way, right? Knight will have to go back to e7. We also have checks later if you want. So king cannot be moved also, right? Because our king passes, or if he goes to last rank, king d6. So move is f4. It looks like unique. Knight f8. Once again, trying to tuk's one, controlling the squares. We go also b6, probably with black, because I don't see any other move. Knight is not moving, pawns neither, king neither. Also knight g8, yeah, I mean, like they're just this move. If you didn't know, I'll better show you concrete. So knight takes the pawn. So f4, knight f8, b6. This is forced. Looks like black has a lot of moves, but it's really forced. Here, if king d6 doesn't make sense, you just go and grab pawn. Knight f5 check, knight e4, knight takes, knight check, and knight takes. Why is this? Now we'll do it slower, because once king go away we can take. So now another thing. Why was important to play with h4? If here I don't play this move, if I try to stay really passive, like let's say also knight g8 here, and imagine like I didn't blunder, like it's difficult. Let's say b6. b6, what happened in the game? King d4, then knight f5 doesn't exist, right? Let's say king goes to d6, Knight f8, took 1. If king goes away, we pass. I mean, he can play this, but we have a lot of extra tempo to waste. So knight c6 check, king e3, pawn hanging, knight e5 or 7, better e7 probably, and king f4, king passed to g5, and now you see just right here what was the difference. If you before push the pawn to f4, you will not take the square, you need to go through this way, and obviously black will reach f6 square somehow already without problems, or will find enough counterplay in the other side of the board. That's why h4 was very important, and that's why black needs to play f4 precisely because of this line also. Knight f8, that's what we saw, b6 forced. Here, why do we check? I think it's obvious, right? Because if we do take here, this is with check, pawn falls, so we want to defend it. Here, if very important moment, right? Looks like black is just bad because we want to play g3. Once knight goes away, we take in g6, and we are happy. So g5 looks like strong move. Idea is after knight h5 to take in g2, and probably we just give up our knight per this pawn, and king will not have any problems with taking this pawn. So at least black will have a draw. Try to make pawn and think here. Why do you think g5 is losing move right now? Okay, you're right if you were thinking g3. G3 wins immediately. Knight is hanging, knight doesn't have where to go in single square. So we have to take, we take, and Botvinnik once again, pawns advanced, so we can take these pawns much faster, much easier. Our pawns didn't advance since beginning, so black has to waste much more temples. And also that pawns and game and knights in game are kind of similar, because we can have advantage of allowing ourselves to trade the knight. Now we just simple win this game, we take here, and we push pawns. So that's why g5 is not played. King b5, g3. From here it's kind of simple. Knight f5, knight takes, knight's hanging, that's why knight h6, knight e5 here, and knight c4. Also very important. Probably if you push a pawn, you still will be winning. But first rule of all the games, moreover, when you have advantage, if you can win maybe slower, but more slow, but without letting your opponent any compensation, do it slow. So you just will really avoid a lot of sadness in your life by doing this. So knight c4, defend, attack, knight b3, king b3, take. B5 was also another possibility to play, like knight is hanging, right, and everything falls, but then knight a5 here, and knight's very easy to stop all the problems, right? Knight defends here, there's no possibility to push because I'll always take this pawn. To reach the knight it will take years, and I'll just go back. Let's imagine like I went somewhere and I did nothing, and you reach the knight, still like you cannot proceed because knight and pawn blocking king very well this way. So knight c4, king b3, take, I defend, I don't give up pawns for free, king goes for the pawn, knight c7 we trade, and even though it looks like equal, it is not, because let's say I'm in the whole knight e6 or knight e8, knight e8 much better, so king d7 is not possible because I take it, and if king here is not possible, knight also doesn't have moves, let's say knight f7 or whatever, just like we just attack the pawn, we take it, and two pawns are winning. If one pawn almost always is a draw, when king is near, two pawns almost always win, you just push them, you grab the knight for one of them and you promote another. So this was another interesting endgame that I showed you. Also, if you don't forget something or whatever, you can ask me in comments, or just try to find it out by yourself, try to repeat the video, and maybe you will see why one move we play and not another in such positions. So here's always basics: 1, second rule of Botvinnik; 2, to remember that always, even in endgames, there is tactics, there is activity, there are some calculations that you need to know, and third, that not just for endgames, that will help you even in your typical games on leeches or in some tournaments. Don't let counterplay in any part of the board, in any part of the game, middle game, end game, even the opening. If you can have advantage for free without counterplaying, just be sure that you win the game. Okay, thank you for the video. If you enjoyed, subscribe the channel, put me likes, and see you in next videos. Thank you.